The X-Men, one of the most iconic teams of all time. When people think of the X-Men, there are a ton of super cool and popular characters that come to mind. Professor X, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Storm, Rogue, Gambit, Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, I could go on and on. But today we're here to talk about one member, the one who leads the team, and one that I, for a long time, slept on. That was until this scene.
Dios. Good guy or bad guy?
Name's Cyclops. Definitely the good guy. Hang tight.
I mean, Cyclops, what an underrated character. His powers are like way cooler than I used to give him credit for. And Cyclops himself is way more capable than I realized. And that is reflected in the kit that I made for him. So I'm really excited to see what you guys think of it. And with that said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, so as always, before we get into the actual kit, I gotta give the artist a shout out. So today we have Glue Glue Guto Corino on X or Twitter. So go check them out. Shout outs to them. Thanks again for letting me use the art. As you can see here, they have some fantastic work, but you can check out more on their art station and their Twitter. Some really, really cool stuff, including this, which is what here today's art is for Cyclops. It just looks just so incredible, like so perfect. Like this is exactly how I imagined him in game. Like it can't come any closer to than this to what I had in my mind. So shout outs to you. Like seriously, such great work. So but let's get into the kit. Okay, so we have base HP at 275. I really want Cyclops to be able to sustain in the battle and to lead his team as a duelist in this case. So 275 was a health base HP that made sense to me for what I'm trying to go for in the kit. And you'll see more as we get into it what exactly I mean by self-sustaining and frontliner. So base speed, 6 meters per second. I have some cool stuff in his kit that'll help him with his speed as well, so we'll get to that here in a minute. And then the main attributes, like I've been saying, I want him to be frontline and self-sustain. And I guess you could also throw in there jack of all trades. Those are kind of the main things I'm looking for him. Alright, so primary fire, we have concussive beam. Cyclops activates his mutant power to shoot a sustained beam from his visor. So what I see for him with this is something similar to what Emma Frost has. So it's like a medium range beam. For him, it would have relatively good damage output, probably like a little bit higher than a Scarlet Witch type, similar range as well. But obviously with this being a hit scan beam that you have to aim pretty precisely, you can up the damage on it just a little bit because your connection can be more skill based, so you know the expression there is obviously easier than Scarlet Witch, or harder than Scarlet Witch to land, so makes up for it in damage. Secondary fire, we have concussive blast. Cyclops activates his mutant power to shoot beams and bursts at a long distance. So I told you guys I wanted him to be a jack of all trades, and so this one allows him to play a little bit more poke. He can shoot these projectile beams, so his primary fire is a hit scan beam. His secondary fire are laser shots, essentially, that are projectiles that he can shoot across the map to hit targets far away. They're not going to have like insane damage, but they'll be good for poke. You can finish off targets that get out of your primary fire range, and both of these run on the same ammo count, so that you have to kind of cycle in between the two when it's appropriate, while knowing that you're going to have a reload animation between every now and then. Okay, so his passive is Relentless Leader. So the more damage Cyclops deals, the faster his speed is. So his speed caps out at 8 meters per second. So what I imagine is he'll have a meter similar to like Emma Frost, where it's like a 0 to 100. And at the 50 mark, so between 0 and 50, he'll get 1 meter per second increase in speed. And then between 50 and 100, when he's charged up from doing damage, he'll be moving at 8 meters per second. So it'll be, you know, very precise with how fast you're moving, depending on how much damage you do. It'll ramp up. I think that is another way again for him to be able to stay in the fight, to track down his targets as a duelist. It is a cool passive for him that's unique to him in this way. Okay, so his first ability is called To Me, and Cyclops shouts with motivation, giving him and his nearby teammates 20 over health and giving himself 10 HP per second, healing over time for 3 seconds. So another way that he can sustain himself here is with a little bit of burst healing for himself and his teammates around him, and then a little bit of a healing over time just on his own. So you can use this to push the front line, to stay in the battle a little bit longer, to give you that extra oomph to damage another duelist, to take out a target, whatever the case may be. And it can also help your teammates. And I think this really reflects him as a leader and moving the group together and motivating them and being sort of the head of the X-Men. And so I think it's a good way to reflect that attribute of him and an ability. So next up we have Laser Burst. Cyclops shoots one large and wide concussive laser burst, dealing shotgun damage to all enemies in range and knocking them back. It can be used for mobility if you shoot the ground, and it can also be used for mobility if you hold back while using it, and it'll have a 6-second cooldown. So basically imagine this as like a big, large cone shotgun blast of laser energy that knocks enemies back. And you can use it for mobility. If you aim at the ground, you can launch yourself into the air. And I'd imagine this being a pretty good launch into the air, kind of like Squirrel Girl, where you have some like freedom to move around after doing it. And if you use it in front of a wall, or if you use it while holding back, it'll also push you back as well. So it's just a very versatile tool. It has a boop effect. It can move him. It can get him airborne. Very versatile. Like I said, jack of all trades. I want him to be able to do a lot of stuff. And this really helps him control the battlefield a little bit. Okay, for his last ability, we have Concussive Power. Cyclops wills himself to harness his mutant power to a new level, giving him a temporary damage boost for 3 seconds, and it has an 8-second cooldown. Okay, so this is another one of his engage tools, so this allows him to, with his moderate damage, can boost it to good damage for a short period of time. I also think that this would probably have 2 charges. I really like the idea of you being able to use this back to back if you need to. So you can, in theory, get up to 6 seconds of damage boost. But if you do that, you'll have a 16-second cooldown before you get your next one. So again, another way to be versatile. You can kind of decide to use it when you need it. And it'd be a pretty sustainable or pretty sizable damage boost as well. Probably like a 15% damage boost that you can activate basically on command. And I think it's, again, for him being a frontliner, being a sustainer, trying to continue to keep damage on people, that's kind of what your whole thing is with him. This is a good way for you to be able to finish targets. You're wanting to outlast the opponent with him. You want to be the last man standing. And it shows the sort of survivalist mentality that the X-Men have, and highlights it in his kit, because he's harder to kill for a duelist, but his normal damage isn't as crazy as some of the others, and so this is his way to sort of compensate in that way. Okay, so finally we have his ultimate ability, True Power Unleashed. Cyclops unleashes the full power of his optic vision. He sends out a massive sustained blast beam that damages and pushes back all enemies. So the pushback on this isn't going to be like a boop necessarily. It's more like a slow and a push back, so like they can't proceed forward. So think like Emma Frost ultimate, except for a slightly less wide cone, and it does damage, and instead of pulling them forward like she does, it kind of slowly moves them back even if they're trying to move forward. And I think that it's a cool like way to give him another battlefield control, what is the word I'm looking for? Crowd control ability. That is also a powerful damage dealing tool. So what's really cool is like if you back somebody into a wall with this, they may not be able to escape before they die. And I think I think it's a diverse ult that's not just like, oh, I shoot a big laser beam and it does damage. There's more to it than that. But yeah, that is my Cyclops kit. So drop a like and a comment and let me know what you guys think. And there'll be more videos coming out soon, so look forward to those. Thanks for watching.